World Minutes, the Minute podcast reviewing 1997 sequel to Jurassic Park, 1 minute at a time. I'm Brad.
I'm Dave.
And today we're here to discuss minute 87 of The Lost World. Dave, this week the Dinosaur Protection Group posted a viral little... It's not a trailer, it's more like a PSA or something, advertisement for them, just sort of advertising what they're about, and starring Claire, which was good to have her behind the viral marketing and not some off-screen actors, I'd say, or voice actors in the background that you're not going to see in the film. So
yeah, it was kind of nice. It was nice to see the they also used a lot of or not a lot, but I mean some footage from The Lost World as well.
Yeah, they showcased some footage of the dinosaurs across Jurassic Park. Actually, was it Jurassic Park? I think it was just The Lost World and Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Mainly because they were talking about the compies and all the compies and the stegosaur, which we've seen in The Lost World, and used some footage of that of the baby stegosaur as well. So it was good to see those and the animatronic shots as well, not the CG stuff. So
yeah, which
just still hold up.
Not very much.
I wonder if they use, well, of course they would have used original footage, but it didn't seem to have that darker colour to it like it did in The Lost World. It's like they've taken the original film stock and sort of brightened it up a little bit.
I was kind of wondering if, since they just announced it, if they're using the 4K transfer of The Lost World, which of course would kind of brighten the film up a bit, just because it's using it's scrubbing away all of that little gritty kind of what are they, like pixelation that you get on the film?
Yeah.
When you're using an inferior, well, now I guess you'd call it inferior version of the movie. When the DVD had a lot of the DVD, when they transferred it into, when they did the Blu-ray transfer, they didn't take out the grain on the 2011 Blu-ray. They did for the 2013 release of the 3D Blu-ray, but they didn't for the basic Blu-ray. And so you have this level of grain that's in the movie that's now out of that. That's now gone.
But it's one detail I loved from it, because it just sort of put you in that world a little bit more. But now when we're trying to get screen caps and trying to look closer at some of the stuff in the background, having that grain removed would be a great benefit.
Oh, definitely.
Because, I reckon that compy looked a lot more vibrant. That green sort of looked a lot brighter green than what I remember from the film. But
definitely, especially because when you look at like the behind-the-scenes pictures of all the dinosaurs, really, especially the males that they used in The Lost World, they had very beautiful, bright, vibrant colors. The male had that bright yellow and kind of molted green with the dark striping, and the compy had kind of a similar, but sans the yellow.
Yeah.
There's the bright orange on the raptors, on the male raptors in The Lost World, and we really got to see none of that because the male is 99% featured in the dark.
Yeah.
With that 1%, we get that quick CGI cameo at the end, and the compy we only see it really in the shadows most of the movie.
Yeah, the only time we really get to sit out in the sun is the opening with Kathy on the beach, but which I think that shot's from. You can see the sand behind it, so...
Yeah, and it's a strong shot. It's a very well done composition, because you can see this kind of beautiful green against the nice flat sandy beige.
Yep. So yeah, Bryce as Claire was pretty much just on the video saying that they can't let the dinosaurs become extinct again. Don't rob your children, your children's children, from having the ability to see a dinosaur for the first time and have that sort of reaction that you did when you had. I'm guessing all this would be from visiting Jurassic World, which is a little bit hypocritical. You're saying let's save the dinosaurs and doing it in a classroom for kids, and then those kids are going to run home and say, "Mummy, I want to go to Jurassic Park and to Jurassic World," even though it's closed at that point. But yeah, trying to get parents to go on the holiday when it's a big expenditure. But
Well, another thing to consider is, I mean, how many people did get to see Jurassic World? Because Hammond's dream was everybody in the world had a right to see the animal, the dinosaurs. But of course, we know the lawyers would have wanted it to be a bit more exclusive. They wanted high-priced tickets. They wanted high-priced rides. They wanted to make that investment back as quickly as possible. So,
Well, to quote
you know,
Gennaro, you can charge $2,000 a day, $10,000 a day, and people will pay it.
exactly.
Um,
But not everybody can pay it.
yeah,
There's a lot of people. There's a lot of kids who went without Disney, who go without Disney World today because the tickets prices have skyrocketed just since I was a kid.
and that's just not getting there. There's probably people that live in the cities right next door to those attractions, and yeah, as you said, that just ticket price, having to spend a day in there, is the cost alone is just
Hmm.
it grows and grows because they get more and more people go, and everything's about profit. So, but at least Jurassic Park would have been a little bit more exclusive, where you might have 20 to 30 guests at a time on island, where like in Jurassic World it was 22,000 or 21,000 on island when the incident happened. So, but even that 21,000 over a 5-year period of that park being open, you just got to wonder how many people went through the ticket counter over that 5 years.
I mean, but again, going back to the Disney World analogy, Disney World, the ticket price of a family pass ticket has doubled since I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that was 20 years ago. In 20 years, the ticket price has doubled. So what has happened to Jurassic World, especially with the expense of upkeep on animals that are 12, 30 tons, you know?
Mhm.
I mean, that alone, the cost of that is phenomenal, I'm sure. Then there's the cloning costs, which probably have gotten cheaper since 1993. I will admit that.
Well,
But then there's the general upkeep of just the park itself, the monorail, the roads, the service roads, paying people to work there.
making holograms.
Yeah, really.
But then with the cloning the dinosaurs too. Well, after that leak report, a lot of the park stock was from Sauna, um,
Hmm.
so there's a bit of a cost saving there. But
Yeah,
um,
but you got to remember a lot of the original stock was from Sorna. A lot of the stock later work that we see are definitely Masrani stock. Like for
mm,
example, the Stegosaurus are very different from the ones visually and physically from the Lost World.
yeah, and that's sort of something else that comes out of that report. If they had the Gene Guard Act in place and were doing stuff on Sauna secretly, at some point after that, either the act was shelved because there's more animals in Jurassic World than what they would have just taken from Sauna.
Hmm.
Especially considering we see some ankylosaurs there, um, even though it's in the restricted zone. But
Hmm. No, but actually, it was kind of like stripped and deteethed. In 2003, they mentioned on the Dinosaur Protection Group side that in 2003, Masrani lobbied Congress to lessen sanctions on cloning and genetic technology in the name of medical research, which of
oh,
course we
okay,
know.
I think I read there
They think,
somewhere too about bribing. There was some bribery involved or something that might have got the act sort of decreased in its coverage.
I think that was done in 2003. Masrani bribed local officials to remove mentions of the new dinosaurs
Oh, okay.
by um, reported by the people who crashed there at
Yeah,
Jurassic Park.
yeah, I remember seeing that how they paid off. Obviously, they paid off Grant and Eric and the Kirby's to not pursue what they seen there, animal wise. I'm guessing. But, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's all right. But again, it's just more world building, and we'll see how all this ties in. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
if they're going to keep on going with this marketing. Like as we said last week when we were talking about the that leaked report, I think seeing the animal territories for Nublar and Sauna would be great to see if they're going to go with that. I suppose there's not really much else I'd like to see. I'd just sort of wait and see what they come up with and react to it then. But no, that's the Dinosaur Protection Group stuff. We'll see what they come up with in the weeks to come. We've still got a couple more months until the film comes out, so I'm sure
Well, it
they'll
should be exciting.
I'm sure they'll keep ratcheting up the viral stuff. So interesting to see if there's anything that comes out of the Masrani site and that coming out, because I'm pretty sure it's just the way it was when Jurassic World came out. So
It is, yeah. It's they had, after Jurassic World came out, they had a site change that said that the park was closed indefinitely and that Masrani was going to look at his restructure itself or something like that. And it hasn't been updated since, actually. So it's interesting to see what will become of that website.
yeah, because I can't. Did they even confirm the death of Simon Masrani on there? After,
I think so.
okay.
I think they mentioned something like in the wake of the death of our CEO or something like that.
Yeah, just an update with sort of what they've done, especially after the Jurassic World site was air quotes hacked, and all the Dinosaur Protection Group went through there and changed a lot of stuff. So it'd be just interesting to get sort of an update there or a press release from Masrani saying everything's fine here, nothing to see. We're going to go in. We're going to do what we can to save these animals.
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of bluff and just a bit of contradiction to the Dinosaur Protection Group, because at the moment they're just sort of doing what they're doing and there's not really any opposition to it or either way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as we said, we got some time. We'll see what happens. See what comes out of it.
Right. Figured out how the animals survive without lysine. I don't care.
Ready to get into 87?
Sure.
All right. As we enter the minute of 86 of The Lost World, Nick had found the old Jurassic Park mural on the wall of the operations building. As we open on minute 87, he shines a light, revealing some of the artwork, yet most of it's covered behind vines. He smiles to himself and chuckles, not believing the original stories to be true. At 86 minutes and 14 seconds, Nick turns quickly as a sound echoes through the abandoned building. He shines light towards the sound, but then starts backing away from the reception area. He moves over to a set of double glass doors and takes one more look back in the direction of the sound that he heard before, and then pushes the left door open. It creaks open loudly. We get a slow pan through the communication centre as Nick makes his way towards the radio. Leaves and glass breaking under his footsteps. Broken blinds hanging, partially blocking the camera's view. At 86 minutes and 56 seconds, his torch beam comes across the power box. An old, faded, moss-covered sign reading "Danger, High Voltage" can be seen. And as the minute ends, that light begins to drop down the box to reveal a switch. As we left off last week, Nick's in the operations building in the reception area, and just as the Jurassic score reaches its peak, he turns and shines the light across the mural.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really talk about it last week, but we did post up the full mural. I won't say the HD version because
the clean version.
Yeah, unfortunately Facebook doesn't like to have high definition stuff on their.
Unfortunately, no. So yeah, the resolution kind of got ruined.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because it's a beautiful mural.
Yeah. So front and center we got the Jurassic Park gates with the visitor center in the background and some guests standing around an explorer waiting to depart, which. Again, looks fantastic. And you got two explorers coming through the gates towards the camera or towards the front of the mural, and some kids pointing out the window at the Tyrannosaur looking over a fence rather ominously, which that's the Tyrannosaur, the jaws that Nick had his head beside in the previous minute. And it's interesting too because there's 3 Tyrannosaurs there.
Yeah, and on the leaked documents that the Dinosaur Protection Group posted, they actually said that that there are 6 Tyrannosaurus Rexes cloned for Jurassic Park, which almost kind of calls back. Or no, there's 6 Tyrannosauruses on Sorna. I'm sorry, and then there's of course Rexy. So that ties back to Trespasser, right? If you remember that John Hammond claimed to have. That engine cloned 7 T-Rexes.
Yeah, the 7 tyrants of the island or something like he said, called them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we started discussing that a little bit on the Facebook group where, especially with that leak stuff that come out, that report, it's been written after the fact, of course, but it just sort of makes you wonder where and when this would have been painted. because none of these are your Jurassic-style dinosaurs either, which makes me wonder if this was painted before they even had an adult animal produced. They just sort of done this is a artist's interpretation of what we want Jurassic Park to be.
It's possible because it's possible that they had cloned some animals and then looked at them and visualized what they may have become as adults, using some of the imagery that they got as when they cloned them as babies.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they do have, like, a resemblance to their adult version.
Yeah.
You know?
But they're more so what you'd expect the dinosaur to look like before Jurassic come out.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering why they didn't get Crash McCreary to sort of do something up. Or he might have done... Do we know who even done the mural?
I can't remember. I think it's out there somewhere who originally did the mural. Yep. I'd have to research it. Yep.
Because it just seems like one of them things they could have got Crash to do in between sketching the Stegosaur and new animals for the Lost World, but because none of this is in the previous script, so I wonder how late into production they decided to put this on the operations building wall as well. But just love it too, where you got the Tyrannosaurs there, you got the perimeter fence, of course, you got two Dilophosaurs that are probably the most Jurassic looking of the lot, and you got a nest there too of some babies in it, which again they're thinking about breeding back then and not just genetic population for the park.
Found the guy who did the mural.
Yep.
His name is Jimmy Catranis.
Mm-hmm.
And he did the mural for... he actually has a website. I don't know, what is this? Artist Directors Guild. You can contact him, and it has some of his work.
I wonder, that might be a little project for the week. Send a message and just ask, hey, do you remember doing this for one? And two, do you remember when you done it? But yeah, I suppose too, and just sort of going off this not being Crash's work, you've sort of got the straight up explorers as we see them in the film. The visitor centre is exactly like it is, which I don't know how much of the park would have been built before they actually got Sauna off the ground and had some stock produced. But over on the far left, you've got some pterodons flying in the air. You've got some sauropods. Brachiosaurs is sort of in a swamp, which is still one thing we haven't seen in the films that I really want to see. Is just we seen them sort of walking out of the water at the start of Jurassic Park, but I'd just love to see them in a lagoon or something. But down the front too, you got 3 velociraptors, which we know there was only 3 left on Jurassic Park after the big one. Oh, after the one was shot at the start. So, but no, it's a very nice mural. It's been a screensaver for mine for a very long time.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's probably one of my favorite parts about this work, about the Work Village, because as Spielberg said in the making of, that when you go back and you see this, and then John Williams plays the Jurassic Park theme over the mural when Nick sees the mural, it gives you that bit of nostalgia for the first movie, and it makes you want to go back and watch the first movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and that again, that fine Camp Jurassic score is just fantastic, because it's not the big triumphant part of it. It's slowed down. It's more eerie. It sort of trails off.
It's almost somber.
Yeah, exactly. Which fits it. You want to be able to remember Jurassic Park, but at the same time you remember what happened, and that didn't end well, and now it's just sort of a forgotten dream. But we get a close-up on Nick's face, and he sort of scoffs here about it as well and says, oh man, which I wonder how much he knows about Jurassic Park. Obviously, Heyman would have told him what they were going there to document. We got that joke with Ian a little bit earlier, and the big iguanas, but I wonder if he was even told about Jurassic Park.
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of... I'm sure the question came up, okay, you're cloning dinosaurs, why? You know?
Even...
And I'm sure I'm sure Hammond went on some grandiose spiel. Oh, I had the most beautiful park with the latest technology, and we spared no expense. You know?
Yeah, and where is it now?
I mean, I could just imagine Hammond's going off in this wistful spiel, looking at some old concept art that's framed in his bedroom office there, and then snapping out of it and saying, "Well, anyway, I need you down here to document some stuff," you know?
Yeah. I suppose it also depends on how much Malcolm talked too, because he had the non-disclosure and then went to the press because InGen was covering up the deaths of those 4 people. Now, whether he sort of spilled the beans on all that and sort of told everything, and Nick sort of just remembering back to that and going, "Oh man, he was right," when everyone thought he was a crackpot, or it could be as well.
In a way, I think he kind of, from what I gathered of what Ludlow said to Malcolm when they were kind of bickering back and forth at Hammond's mansion, was he spilled a lot.
Yeah.
He told a lot to the press, and I think he spilled everything. He spilled Hammond. He said that InGen was building a park on Isla Nublar, that they hit cloned dinosaurs, they broke out, they killed a bunch of people, and InGen probably wasn't happy about it because, as Ludlow said, he did sign a non-disclosure agreement to not mention anything he saw at the park.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, InGen lied and twisted the deaths of 4 people, and well, he felt the need not to have their memories destroyed for InGen's profit.
Yeah. When you think about it too, it's sort of 4 people he never really knew or was close to, so he's sort of going to bat for him off principle and not off knowing him or being close to him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we get a loud clanking noise that sort of pulls him away from the mural, and he shines the torch off in that mysterious area of the operations building again, and sort of mouths, "What the hell's that?" And he
kind of looks over and is like, "Oh, it's nothing." And I think it's almost kind of like him trying to convince himself that it's nothing, because we know what's in the area, and we're kind of... I mean, I always was curious what made that sound, if it was just a bit of the building falling apart a little more.
Yeah, well,
it's like an animal.
Yeah, it's like something swinging, like something's going through a latch gate or something.
Yeah.
But I just sort of love, you always get those sort of sound effects in something that's abandoned. We talked like a couple of minutes ago about sort of that rattling chain and the squeaking of rusty hinges. Even just if a breeze comes through and blows something, a window or something.
Mm-hmm. I was just watching Stephen King's It, and so of course the new movie has this creepy abandoned Victorian-style house. And there's all kinds of that going on. I mean, there's rats scurrying across the floor, leaves crunching, and it's a horror movie, so every little sound kind of puts you on edge.
Yep.
You know?
Yep, just to build that tension.
Uh-huh.
And again here, like as we just seen before, that the Velociraptors chased them through the grass. We presume, and we're going to see later, that they do indeed follow them to the village. So. But he starts to walk away from the reception area towards a set of double doors in that glass wall behind him, where the sofa beds, where the sofas were. Interesting here, like you're saying, he was trying to convince himself. Before he opens the door, he looks back past the camera again before he opens the doors to like sort of just watch his back as he pushes them, because he knows he's about to make a loud noise here. But he pushes on the left-hand door, and I just love, because the right-hand door's got a very large section of glass missing, big enough for him to walk through anyway. So he's just made that noise of opening the door when he didn't really need to.
But maybe Vince Vaughn's a big guy. He's one of the biggest guys in Hollywood. He's like 6'something". So maybe he just wouldn't have fit through there anyway, or he didn't think he could anyway.
Yeah. But it would leave that little bit of a buffer behind you too, so if a large animal was coming, it'd have to try and get through that door as well and not have to open it. But as we know, they do know how to open doors. Although we don't see that with the sauna one, so we don't know. But
they kind of just throw their body at it.
Yep. Then we cut to sort of a side pan as the camera moves down the hallway and looking through some more glass for the wall as he cautiously enters the room. And you get more of those great sound effects as he's walking on the broken glass and the dirty floor.
I love this pan, just because, I mean, it's clearly on a Panavision. No, not a Panavision. It's clearly on one of those tracks Because, I mean, the camera movement is so smooth, but you get a nice long shot of the entire radio and control center here. You know, and it's all done from the outside looking in as the view is broken up constantly by these broken blinds.
And that's my biggest problem. There's too many damn blinds in the way, blocking so we can't see everything clearly. But you get patches here and there. There's some tables in the middle of the room which are interesting. They've sort of got large glass panels on them. One, you can we've done some zooming in and you can see a bit of a map there, which they don't actually look like glass displays. They look like, sometimes you'll see the glass almost like a whiteboard where you can draw on them. You can have some stats or something. Yeah, I think they are. Yeah, like there might be a map. There might be a map of that area, just the village area, pre-printed onto that glass, and then they can write on it if they're.
Yeah, with dry erase markers.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, that's what I always thought they were. You watch Star Wars and they in Echo Base in the Lost War. In Empire Strikes Back. They have those screens that they're making marks on, and it's just a map out of the the solar system that they're in.
Yeah.
And that's why I always thought they were here, was that they were just tracking or whatever they were, like display radar. I'm not even sure how you call it, but they have them on submarines too.
Yeah. They're sort of just you can have a certain information there, and then you can either add information to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they like track the surrounding area with radar. So, of course, there's the landing pad so I'm sure is probably involved with doing that, and of course keeping track of dinosaur movements or anything in the kennels, or keeping track of worker movements as they went to and from the village each day.
Yeah, because the one on the very end, I'm just looking now, it's got a grid. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, a grid of 11 blocks. And it's there's another, on the far left, you've got like a set of crosshairs there, which might be the north, east, south. It almost looks like, that might be Nick's reflection, but it almost looks like a coastline. So it could be even the harbour, or any sort of monitoring like that, as you said, radar. So, but of course those desks as well have got like the lamps, old office desk lamps on them. There's a couple of office chairs sort of laying on their sides on the back, which sort of makes me wonder too. A couple of these glass panels are broken as well, but obviously they've had animals in there at some point, sort of dirtying the place up a bit. But I wonder why there aren't animals nesting in there, considering it seems to be watertight, but.
I'd assume it's the raptors. I mean, the raptors have a nest that's outside the village.
The territory.
And their area is their hunting ground, and everything in Jurassic Park fears the raptors.
Yeah.
So I imagine that no kind of animal would be dumb enough, except short of maybe lizards and stuff like that, would be dumb enough to try to make a home right next when their neighbor is such a dangerous beast, you know?
Yeah, I've zoomed in again here, and there's that cross, that northeast southwest. It's not. There's 4 dots and a block. It almost looks like it could be the worker village boundary, but it's got concentric circles going around it all the way out to make it look like it's a depression. Because it looks like the actual map topography printed on there, and then there's something in the top corner that sort of looks like the operations building. Roughly, but I'll post these photos up during the week, and we can discuss them online anyway. But it's just some odd. There's 2 of them. Anyway, again, someone in the production might be able to give us some better ideas of what all this artwork is. I just wonder if it's something from another film. And as much as I'd like to go and watch every film that come out or was produced between 96 and 97, I don't really want to put myself to that just to see if this stuff was used from somewhere else, because a lot of this wouldn't have been made specifically for The Lost World. You'd imagine it would have just come out of a prop house somewhere.
No, I mean, Spielberg, when he makes a movie, he goes all out, and I wouldn't doubt for a second that every thing here was made specifically for this movie, or at least most of it was, you know?
Well, that's it. I just watched Back to the Future 2 was on TV last night, and that Hill Valley set in 2015 is just... there's just detail is everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I just sent you those blown up maps.
Oh, alright. Yes, I see it. Yeah, there's topographic lines there.
Yeah. Because there's that one where Nick sort of stand behind it, and it looks like it's more of a, there. That one there, I thought it looked like the coast, but I think it's just his shadow.
Yeah, there's a shadow on there.
So the other one, yeah, you got that sort of northeast southwest in the middle, then you've got the black T-shaped piece above and below. You've got two of them there, which I've got no idea. They look like a building or something, like you'd see buildings on a map, but they're too sort of angular and that to be mud or debris. Like you can see junk on the glass around them more, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just very weird.
Yeah, there's kind of like some mold that comes off the very top and just gets lesser so.
Yeah.
And then there's topographic lines and that head down into a depression, and at the center of that there's a box with kind of looks like 4 circles surrounding it, like you said.
Mm.
And then I can't tell if it's like a leaf or if that's an actual marker of some point at the third from the top interval.
Yeah. I think some of that's debris up there, and mold growing on the glass. But yeah, and then even that sort of cross, it sort of looks like the InGen logo in the middle, but I can't. Again, 4K release of this would be exceptional.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the problems. The one website I found that's probably got the most accurate and the most HD screen caps of any other site sort of doesn't do true screen caps. It's sort of every 3 or 4 seconds it'll take a photo, where most of the HD screen cap sites sort of do every frame. They'll have every frame or two, so you don't have the camera blurring between frames. You've just got that frame that the camera shot. So it'll be a continued endeavour. But he reaches the end wall and starts brushing aside some vines, looking for the radio. And he shines the torch across the one set of vines to the wall and finds a panel with an old red sticker on it, danger high voltage.
Yep. Yeah, I always loved the effect that we see here, just that close-up of the danger high voltage sign.
Mm. There's no number with the volts. You can see the volts, but the number's sort of missing. I'm guessing that would be 10,000 volts, just because that's sort of what they go for.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you get that great shot of the moss and mold just flecked across this high voltage sign with a vine going right across the corner.
Mm. And they sort of harken it back to the novel, where there's that little bit of yellow tinge to it as well to signify the sulphur from the volcanic activity. It's not done a lot in the film, but sort of makes that thing, as we've seen earlier. Ludlow said everything was run on geothermal power, so. But yeah, just the production design here, making all this stuff look old. Because then as the minute ends, he sort of puts a torch beam, or the torch beam drops from that sticker down to a Western Electric switch.
Yep.
But we don't get to see that until the next minute.
No.
Before we do get out of here, the road to here, we can pick up on both scripts a little bit later because, as I said, the group sort of make their way towards the village together, so we'll pick up what happens there when we get Malcolm and the rest of the team come in a couple of minutes' time. But Dave, anything else on 87 you want to get to before we get out of here for the day?
No, I think we covered that pretty well.
Alright, lovely.
Alright guys, let's get the hell out of here.
Contact details are on the website, thelostworldminute.com. You can email feedback to thelostworldminute@gmail.com, Facebook, The Lost World Minute, Twitter @thelostworldminute, and Instagram, The Lost World Minute.
Easy to remember.
Yeah, very easy to remember. David, thank you for joining me for this record.
Welcome.
And we'll be back. I've been Brad.
I'm Dave.
And we'll talk to you all later. Goodbye.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
It is absolutely imperative that we work with the Costa Rican Department of Biological Preserves to establish a set of rules for the preservation and isolation of that island. These creatures require our absence to survive, not our help. And if we could only step aside and trust in nature, life will find a way.